curling up your toes, girl. Even when I'm gone, I only want you close, girl. If I win, she win. We count the minutes together. If it's real, it's real. This'll be forever. If it's hot or cold, get through any weather. If it's all I know, together we're better. Pull up, I thought then she swerved. 3 or 2 step, your little cap will make it work. Make it work, deal, make it work. Make it work, deal, make it work. I pull up, hop out, then I swerve. Do my 2-step, my little cap won't make it work. Make it work, you said, make it work. Pause, make it work, you said, make it work. Pause. I can't say, no, I always got home. Lay houses on my soul. I can't say.
Hey.
What's up, girl?
What's going on?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to our Midday Chat. I'm super excited for today. You already know, before we even jump into anything, before we do any introductions or anything like that, we just want to take some time to ground ourselves, okay? Because we need that time to just get centered and just feel like we're on the same wavelength. So we're just going to take a few deep breaths together. So if you will just join with me, you can either close your eyes or just lower them and just get yourself in a space where you can take a few deep breaths for yourself, because you deserve it today. So if you will, let all the air out of your body and take a deep inhale in. Hold at the top and release. We're going to take another deep, calm breath in. Hold. And release all tensions, anxiety, frustrations you may be holding on from your day. And take one more deep, intentional breath in. Hold. And release all that nonsense that you may have been holding on to from today. Any and everything that was negative energy is gone, boo. We here.
Yes. Needed that.
We here. So yes. Welcome to Midday Chats. I'm your host, Chantel Sarita, your eclectic self-love coach. And I'm super excited to have a special guest here with us today. Ooh. What's going on, girl?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, so this is Bella. Me and Bella met, I think it was maybe 2016. Around that time, we did a performance together. And I saw you perform, and I was like, yo, she's dope. You were rapping, and I think you were dancing too. And I was like, hey, she's dope. Like, I want to talk to her. Like, that song was fire. She's up there doing her thing. And so that's how we kind of connected. And then I realized, oh, you're also a videographer. Oh, you're also a motivator. Oh, you also teach dance. Okay, so you're just well-rounded, boo. Okay. So yes, I'm going to tell folks who I am, but I just want them to hear who you are first. So tell the folks who you are, what you're all about.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Red Bella, but you can call me Bella. I like to see myself as a multidisciplinary, but also multi-dimensional artist. And I use my spiritual abilities to help women awaken their inner queen, their inner goddess. I help them align with their confidence so they can go out into the world and handle their like a boss. Okay. So a lot of the things that I do, my creative outlets include choreography, dancing, videography, photography, as well as motivational speaking per se. So that's pretty much what I do. I like to consider myself a what's the word? I say multi-dimensional because my spiritual gifts go beyond this dimension. So I tend to I can sense things, I can feel things. My intuitiveness is very, very connected. So I'm able to help other women connect with their intuition as well.
Yes, so beautiful. And that's why I was so excited to have this conversation with you, because our paths align so well, because we do very similar things.
Yes.
So I really love that. Like I said, I'm your eclectic self-love coach. So I also help women to find that inner goddess, find that inner harmony,
Yes.
and really like find that peace within themselves without having to have that external validation. Being able to validate and love on yourself first, and then everything else comes from that.
Yes.
So yes, we definitely align when it comes to that. And so I'm just really excited to have this conversation with you, because I already know it can go so many different ways, because we have so many different things that we love, but ultimately it comes down to inspiring women and helping us to find who we are inside, because we get lost.
Yes. We both Sagittarius too, y'all.
Period. Okay, we out here. We out here on the same wavelength for real. So it's gonna be a dope conversation. So yes, I don't like the way that this is showing up on the screen, because it makes our faces all like weird. I think if I do it like this, that'll work.
There we go.
But yeah, so our conversation for today, we're going to be talking about. Oh, I skipped a few things, girl. We're going to be talking about the inner critic today, and kind of manifesting some self-esteem out of that, because the inner critic can be a space where you feel like, I can't do anything, and it can hinder your self-esteem. But when you learn to face it, when you learn to be like, no, like I actually have some control over what this voice is saying and how I'm going to respond to it, that can start building up your self-esteem. So I definitely want to talk about that. But we have an announcement first. I do have self-love celebration coming up on September 19th. If you don't know what self-love celebration is, I'm going to give you a brief breakdown of that with this video, give you a little sneak peek into what to expect. So mark it on your calendars for this Sunday self-love celebration. What'd I do? I did something. Hold on. Let me try again. Technology be acting crazy, girl.
Okay.
There we go. Oh. Okay.
I just wanted to ask, because I wasn't going to say anything, but since it's been commented upon the meditation aspect of it, so I've meditated before, I've gotten, relaxing mud out before. This was the first time that I felt not like a human, but like just a breathing vessel. And I can see green and earth and Mother Nature. And I did not I didn't think at all about who was leading it. So it just kind of resonated when everyone else shared that, who was leading the meditation made them feel different. And I can also attest that I felt different this time too. I just didn't recognize that was something that was different that I was participating in. So that was my journey with that as well.
Yes. I'm gonna have to come slide through.
Girl, yes. So it's gonna be a great event. We have this every month. So it is a monthly free event. So it's, free of charge. It's donation based. So everything that is donated goes directly towards the event, so that I can continue to reach out to women and help them love on themselves and practice that self-love. So yeah, like self-love celebration this Sunday. Pop out. It's gonna be.
I love that. That's cute. I like that.
Yes, I feel like you would be like a great facilitator in self-love celebration, because you do very similar things.
Okay.
So we'll talk. Yeah. But before we jump into our conversation, I always love starting with an icebreaker, because I feel like that's a great way to kind of get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
So folks, And you, Bella, I want to know this from you too. Do you consider yourself an early bird, or are you more of like a night owl type person?
I'm definitely a night owl.
I don't know why I knew you were going to say that.
For sure. I struggle with getting up. I'm actually in the works of cultivating a consistent morning routine. I mean, I meditate, but like I don't have like a routine. But at night, I don't know. At night, I come alive. My energy is like, I'm getting stuff done. Like, what about you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I knew you were going to say that because when you told me, oh, yeah, no, we can meet after work around 9 or 10 even. I'm like, oh, yeah?
You like, girl?
I'm like, oh, yeah? Like 7 p.m. is pushing it for me. I'm definitely a morning person. It's my time to shine in the morning is what I always say. Like I wake up and like it may take me a little bit, like maybe 15, 30 minutes to actually get up. But once I like wake up,
you up.
I'm up, I'm popping. It's, you know what I'm saying? I can get most of my work done in the morning time. At night, I'm like right now, like if I make little hiccups and stuff like that, it's because I'm slowly fading. So don't mind me. But yes, I thought that would be a great icebreaker. So folks, when you're watching, we want to hear from you too. Are you a night owl or are you a morning person? And is that where you want to be? Like, are you happy with being your night owl self? Are you happy with being your morning self? Or are you trying to switch it up and be one of the others? Yeah. So we want to hear from you with that. But the inner critic and self-esteem. So I brought this topic up to you, Bella, beforehand, right? So, oh no, what happened? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? I miss you so. Seems like it's been forever since you've been gone. Technology, bro. I bet her Wi-Fi kicked her off or her laptop died or something. But I have questions for you if you're watching. To my Yes Mom folks, to my people on YouTube, I have questions for you while we wait for Bella to pop back on to the conversation. Do you notice your inner critic? Do you know that you have an inner critic? And what does your inner critic look like? What do they sound like? You know, how do they talk to you? But most importantly, do you notice your inner critic? Yes or no? In the comment section. We want to know. We want to hear from you. I think I started noticing my inner critic when I started my self-love journey, really. Actually, it was even before that. I started to realize it when I started to notice that my mindset had a lot to do with my sport and how I compete. So I started to notice then that I was having a hard time with some of my skills because I was telling myself that I wasn't going to do it successfully, or I was going to fall, or I was going to do something crazy. So I definitely noticed my inner critic around like college time, but I didn't know that carried on into other parts of my life too. I thought it was just gymnastics. But then when I started my self-love journey, that's when I realized like, oh no, this is definitely more than just, this is more than just where we are right now, like gymnastics. This is my life. So looks like you're about to pop back on here, boo. Uh-oh. Technology they're not doing us right today. They're not doing us right. But it's okay because we're going to make it work. We're going to make it to do now. We're going to make it do to do. But yeah, so that's when I started to notice my inner critic. I started to realize it when I was in gymnastics, and I realized like, oh, these skills are not happening the way that they can be happening because I'm scared. So there she is. She's back.
Sorry, my computer just locked.
She said no. She said just okay, no. Okay. Just no. Not today. But she's back. So yes, I was stalling by asking the folks, do they notice the inner critic? But what I was going to ask you, when I brought up the topic of self-esteem and the inner critic, your reaction was like, yes, I'm here for that. Let's talk about it. What was that? What was that reaction for you?
Well, because honestly, that has been my life. Just stepping out, and I like to I call it the acquired critic because it's not really
Mm,
me. It's not
mm,
what I really think about myself. It's what people have conditioned me to believe.
yes.
So throughout my life, especially because I'm adopted, and like when you're adopted, you don't know your parents, you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you get your personality from, and people are telling you this is who you are, this is what you're supposed to like, and you're like,
Mm,
I don't feel that way, but I guess, I mean, you know better than I do, I guess. So like throughout my life, I will always just be more susceptible to what people said I should be.
mm,
And then when I wasn't that, that's when I began to criticize myself. But I'm like, that's not even who you are to begin with. So you're
right.
stressing out to be somebody who this isn't who you really are. This
Mm,
perfectionistic person who wants everything to be perfect, who, you know, that's not who I am. So I feel like when you asked me that question, it was something inside of me. I think guess was my inner child, like, yes, we need to talk about that, you
yes.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that inner child definitely has a lot to say when it comes to the inner critic because that's who's conditioned, the inner
Yep.
child. They're the one who's like taking off the bigger blunt of things because that's how you start off that way. The people around you, like you said, people around you, you kind of want to please them. You want them to look at you and see you a certain way. You want to come off as this perfect person, this perfect child. And then you grow into that same, oh no, you grow into that same like type of mindset as you get older and it just gets stronger, that voice gets stronger and you feel like I'm like this is who I am, like Bella was saying, like she was like thinking like no, this is the person that I am, but really it's not. And this is actually a conversation that I've been having with myself lately too. Like this is something that I've felt like up to now, I'm starting to realize like, is this person who wants to be perfect, this person who wants to do everything the right way, who's like obsessed with self growth, is that person really me? Or is that the person, my representative, the person who is representing me to everyone else, the person who is, making me feel like, make the person who wants everybody else to see me in a certain light? That's not my voice. I can't remember what what she called it, but I really liked the idea that she said, it's not your voice. This is a voice that has been conditioned. You've been conditioned to say these things to yourself based off of who you've grown up with, based off of the things that you're watching on TV, based off of the people that are influenced in your life, whether that's somebody on TV or that's a family member or whoever that is. It's usually coming from something or a source that is around you in some way, shape, or form.
Chantel, I'm so sorry. My computer actually was dying. So I got my charger now, guys. I'm so sorry. It will not interrupt again. We're
You
done.
good.
We're
Like
done
when I
with the
tell you
games.
technology, it's fine.
Okay.
You're good.
We're here. We're back.
We out here. But yeah, so I was saying I really like how you mentioned, what did you call? You said what type of critic do you call
The
it?
acquired critic.
Acquired critic. Yes. I love that. Talk a little bit more about that. What does that mean to you?
So for me, it just means that all of the criticism I feel about myself comes from other people, the people I grew up around, my parents, their expectations of me, their beliefs, that weren't even mine to begin with. But when you grow up around parents or people who want you to live your life a certain way, and us as children, we want to make our parents proud. So we kind of like, oh, okay, it's not what I really want to do, but because it will make my parents proud, I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Until once you begin to go into adulthood and you realize like this stuff actually doesn't align with my beliefs. Like I actually don't believe in this stuff, or
Mm-hmm.
you start hearing things in your head that's not even you. Like, even for instance, I'm pretty sure anytime you go for audition or you go somewhere, like I know when I go to a dance class, stuff start popping in my head like, you're not as good as these dancers. And it's like, why am I saying this to myself? And it's not me, because as children, we come with a clean slate. It's because over time you've heard people you've gone to school with, people you've been friends with say like, oh, you need to do this. This is what you need to do to be a dancer like that, or so forth and so forth. All of the criticism that you've heard throughout your life, at some point you began to believe it because you heard it so much. So you acquire all that pessimism, the criticism, the need to feel perfect, all of those things you acquire throughout your life. That's why I always say it's so important for you to decondition, because it's just going to keep going in cycles. I'm pretty sure our parents were the same way. It's a lot of stuff I see my parents do, and I'm like, you don't even like doing that, but you're doing it because your parent taught you that this was the right way to do it.
Exactly.
You know?
Absolutely. Man, I resonate with that so much, because there's so many things that I was doing in my life up until maybe 3 years ago that I was doing because everybody else wanted me to do it. You know, I was pursuing this ideal of a job, a career, because that's what they wanted me to do. You know, I was thinking about going to get my doctorate, which now I'm thinking about it for myself. But before I was thinking about it because my mom wanted me to do it, you know? So like that, you know, that idea of you're not living out your actual dreams if you're doing something that someone else sees for you.
Yeah.
You know, when did you start to notice that for yourself? Like, oh, actually, that's not what I want. That's what somebody else wants. When did that questioning of your inner critic start happening, or your acquired critic?
Honestly, it will probably after my last relationship, which was very abusive and toxic. And it took me to realize, because when I would do things for myself and I didn't get like validation from that person, like, oh, this, you're doing the right thing for yourself, or, you know, we just want confirmation, like, this is the right thing I'm doing. And when I wasn't getting that out of that relationship, I started to realize, like, maybe I'm doing all this stuff for the wrong reasons. Like, I'm doing this stuff because he wants me to be doing this job. I'm applying for a job I don't even like, but because he thinks I need to have a government job, that's what I need to do. Same thing with my mom. Like, my mom will always tell me it's not realistic to go pursue dance, or to pursue, you need to work an office job. And I never aligned with that. I never felt like that's the end all be all for me. Right. So it literally took me writing I wrote my play Golden, and I remember I wrote it, I saw the vision, and when it all came together, like the final end of the play, and I styled everybody, and I just saw how I was having a sold out show. I was like, see, this is why I listen to myself, because if I would have listened to y'all, I will be sitting somewhere at a desk. No offense to anybody who works at a desk, but that's not my path, you know? Right.
And it's so important to know your path and your passion and your dreams, because I've been listening to Les Brown a lot lately, and he talks a lot about not letting your dreams die with you, but allowing yourself to live them out. But you can't do that if you don't know what it is. And so, you know, that takes some self-discovery, that takes some self-exploration. Like, you have to explore yourself. For me, I started noticing, it was like after grad school, I had just started a business working with gymnasts. And that was something that I feel like I was doing because my mom wanted me to do it. Like, she loved that I was working in gymnastics, because I did gymnastics my whole life. And so she knew I was good at it. And while there are, you know, she had all her reasons, and they were all good reasons that why she wanted me to work in this field, it didn't align with me at the time, because I had a lot of healing to do from gymnastics. I had a lot of hatred towards the sport at the time. So it wasn't really a healthy space for me to be in. So that's when I started to realize, like, I'm going to this gym, and like, yes, I make a nice amount of money doing this. And yes, like, I'm good at it, but I'm leaving unhappy. And when when you start to notice, you put yourself in these spaces, and you start to realize, like, the energy that you have after you leave a space, or you leave a person, if it's not good energy, if you're not feeling good at experience, if you're not feeling filled up, then something's wrong. You know, something's off. You know, so you said for you it was writing your play, and that started to kind of help you branch out into doing different things. Now, did it take some time for you to kind of, and I know we're always growing, we're always evolving, but did it kind of take some time for that to unfold into what you are now? Or was it like, oh no,
yeah.
let's do it?
Oh, yes. It definitely did, because I mean, no matter, like, even the guy I'm dating now, he's always like, you are so hard on yourself. I don't see it. So I think it's sometimes we do things that we don't even pay attention. It's unconscious to us. But other people, is like, why are you so hard on yourself? So I think I'm still like, because things are so deeply conditioned into my mind to be critical, or to see my vision a specific way, and to be perfect. Like, it has to be perfect. I can't launch something unless it's perfect. I can't teach a class unless everything is perfect. Instead of just literally booking the spot, creating a class, and just releasing it. Like, stop attaching to, or what if people don't come, or what if I don't sell out a class? So I think I'm still learning to just be in flow. Like, that is the most important thing I will tell people, is like, literally release outcomes. That is what helps my self-doubt, is literally releasing the outcome, because we do doubt ourselves when challenges come into play, because maybe it's unfamiliar to us and we're scared of the unknown. So I would just, like, being in flow has helped me, like, not even caring about how many tickets or how many people come, literally doing stuff because I love to do it, and experimenting with that. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else. And that's all you really can do.
Yes, absolutely. I heard a few things in there that you mentioned. One is that fear of failure, because when you don't know what's going to happen, you're like, am I going to fail? Like, because I'm with my class, it's like, I have a new space. Like, what if nobody shows up? What if, and you have all these different voices within, because you're afraid of this idea of failure. But really what failure is just a lesson. It doesn't associate with our identity. Just because we failed at something doesn't mean we are a failure. There's a difference. There's a huge difference. And so I have another question for you and for folks watching. How does your inner critic sound? So for me, like when you mentioned earlier, you said, what if this class doesn't sell out? What if nobody shows up? What if some things go wrong? That's how my inner critic sounds. It's like, girl, what if you do it? What are you doing it? Why aren't you thinking about it like this? Well, what if nobody show up? Ain't nobody gonna show up to this class? Like, ain't nobody gonna come to this because you're like a newbie. Like you haven't been putting yourself out there like that yet. Like my voice, she kind of sassy. She questions the hell out of me, and she's louder than my intuition most times.
Yes.
So what about you?
Same. Like my inner critic is like a kind of a bully. Like she just like thinks the worst. And I'm like, sometimes literally I'll be like, you know what? I know you're showing up because you're trying to keep me safe, but you're not keeping me safe. You're actually making things worse. So I'm gonna need you to go to the side, have a seat. And like sometimes I literally have to talk to her and be like, look, I get it. This is new. But and she's loud, she's a bully. Honestly, it's funny because like there are people in my mind that comes across when she does come up, and I know that's how she manifested. The women I grew up around, like I said, they had a certain view of life, and I hold compassion for that, because we're in a time where a lot of us are able to do all these online businesses and things like that. They weren't able to do that. It was like, go to school, get a degree, work a job. So I will hear these things like, and I even now today avoid telling them anything until stuff manifests, because people have an image of you in their head. So when you tell them, oh yeah, I'm trying to build $1 million company, they're gonna be like,
you can't do that. You don't got skills to do that.
So it's like now really it's like just learning to tell my inner critic, like, you know what, I understand this is new, it's a challenge, and I know you're trying to make me feel safe. I'm just gonna need you to sit to the side. All right, girl.
Have a seat, go over there. Go over there. And I think that's the biggest part, because a lot of there's, I like to do a little research before we do these conversations and just kind of pull up a few articles and see what people are talking about. Yes. And a lot of the things that pop up are like, silence your inner critic or get rid of your inner critic. But your inner, like it's that voice, we can make it less loud, but I don't think it's smart to silence it because it's a part of you. Even though it's like a conditioned part of you, it still deserves compassion. And that's what I love. She said, sometimes I got to talk to her. Like, you got to talk to her and be like, okay, I hear you. Because really it's trying to protect us. Yes. Right. Like it doesn't, like in our mind, like in our subconscious, it doesn't know the difference between failure and death. It's like both of those things are freaking scary. So like, let's just avoid it. And that's really all your inner critic is trying to do. So rather than being like, shut up, like sometimes you do got to be like, girl, shut up, girl. Like, right. But it's better to just have that conversation. Like, okay, I hear you. I know why you feel like this. I know why you want to tell me that I can't do this, but we're going to make it happen and we are safe, and showing yourself that compassion. So what type of,
would you say, like, over time has your, like, do you feel a difference of like what your inner critic sounded like years ago and then what it sounds like now? Like, do you see a difference as far as like healing and doing the work?
Absolutely. I mean, number one, I hear it now. Like, I consciously hear it. Because when I was younger, I feel like it would just be, it was a running program that I didn't pay attention to. I just would not know why I didn't feel good about something. I would, I would fail at something and then feel miserable about it and not really know why. Because I was talking shitty to myself. And by the way, it's okay to curse on here, but I was talking shitty to myself inside. And like now I hear it. I can tell when I'm talking down to myself. And like, while I still am working through it being less harsh, I definitely feel like I've made improvements in the area. But I think the biggest thing is that I know that it's there now. And I know I need to have a conversation with myself in certain areas when I hear myself talking down like that. And like, even the idea of like going into therapy, now I'm in therapy, and that's been helping me to like pick up on these distorted thinking and all these different things that I'm telling myself that aren't true. Just because I've, things that I've been through in the past. So I definitely feel like I have made improvements. I think when it comes to like business, that's where I'm like, that's the area I really need to grow in, because this is new. I've started a business before, but this is a little closer to my heart now. Right. So it's more special. You know what I'm saying? So that inner critic is louder because now you have more at risk. Yes. So I have to learn how to deal with her in a new way. But at least I know when she's talking. Right. And I know, like, I can decipher between her and my intuition. You missed last week, but last week we talked about intuition and what that voice looks like. And for me, my intuition, she's chill. She'll be back like this. She's like, girl, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're not supposed to be doing tonight. She'll be like, girl, you got this class. Just do what you're supposed to do. If people don't show up, you're good. Like, but she be in the background while my inner critic is like, you can't do it. No, you can't. No, you can't. Two completely different voices, but I know the difference now.
I love that. That's huge. That's huge. That definitely will make a difference with how you just maneuver through life and the decisions you make. Absolutely. And I don't think people realize that, like, just knowing the difference between your intuition and your inner critic is vital for decisions you make for yourself, for your career, for your relationships, because your inner critic will even come out in healthy relationships, and you're just like, self-sabotaging the whole relationship. And it's like, it's going well. Why are you so hard on yourself? Why are you so hard on this person? Why are you so hard on the relationship? So I like that you said that, like, you found the difference between those two.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like, it's hard because you're like, it's easy just to let your voice just go. It's easier. It's harder to be like, wait, hold on. I don't have to feel like this. Yeah. Something is happening that's making me feel like this. Like, so let me first calm myself down. Like, one of the things that I've been doing in therapy is cultivating a self-soothing box. So I have my Play-Doh here. Because that's one of the things that I have in my self-soothing box when I'm feeling anxious. I play with the Play-Doh, but like after I do that, then I'm able to like sit and hear the thoughts from a more removed place rather than like being in it and like being just talked down on and scolded. And being in it, I can remove myself and look at it from a removed perspective. So in the article that I pulled up from Psychology Today, they talked about a few different types of what inner critics look like. So one type refers to the inadequate self. So the self that feels like, I'm not capable of doing this. So, and you said, that means you relate. So, and I was going to ask you, what ways do you relate to the inadequate self?
Well, just because like dancing is honestly perfect because like I was trained to a certain age. I was trained to 13 in jazz and tap. And then from there, it was kind of just like school dance team, self-taught, like watching Sierra and Janet and Maya and, Destiny Child, these dancers on TV and like teaching myself all this stuff, teaching people in high school and stuff like that. Yeah. But then I get into these dance classes and it's like people doing splits, people doing flips and doing all this crazy stuff. And I'm just sitting here doing a Dougie like,
I'm just chilling.
You know what I'm saying? Like vibing, like, and it sometimes makes me feel like you should have been trained more. You will be a better dancer if you were trained more. You will be out here picking up choreography quick. Like all these people better than you. That's all I think. Like they're all better than you. That's why nobody, it's just, it's the worst. It's honestly the worst. And I'm trying to tell myself because there are times I think like, okay, but when I did Golden, the former choreographer for the Lovables back in the 90s, she came to my show and then she asked me to audition for her musical. And then I made it. Hey. And even then, I was around all these trained dancers. And I was feeling inadequate, but I had to tell myself like, Diamond, you are in the musical though. So obviously there's something different or whatever about you that people see in you. So start seeing that in yourself instead of comparing yourself and saying, well, she can do a backflip and she could do a split and she's very technical. Start appreciating what's unique about you,
Yes, absolutely. I love that. And I think, that brings me to the idea of being your own cheerleader because, you were good enough. You made it. You are good enough. Even when your mind is like, you are, because that inadequate self, that inner critic, that acquired critic is telling you like you're not good enough because you're looking at all these other people, but everybody's journey is different. Yeah. And I have to tell myself that too as a dancer because my journey as a dancer is former gymnast turned dancer. And so I have a very extreme background of sport that has done a number on my body. And so I can't go to dance classes. I can, and I have gone to dance classes, gone full out, and like I'll be the one doing the splits every once in a while, like doing a handstand, especially in auditions and stuff. But then my body afterwards, I'm like, my body hurts. Like my hip, I can't walk, girl. Like, so why did I do that? Right. So I think it's this idea of being compassionate to yourself, but then like being your biggest cheerleader. Like, are you your biggest cheerleader truly? Because I know for me, and I know this for you too, we are inspirers, we are motivators. So we can talk to anybody and help them get from A to B as far as their emotional state and like even like how they believe in themselves. Like that's our shit. But do we do that for ourselves though?
Yes. That's key. Yeah.
It's key. So folks at home, I want to know from you, are you your biggest cheerleader, or does somebody else have to cheer you on? And then you're like, oh yeah, actually, and no shame, because we have no shame in our game. Everybody's journey is at a different place. But I encourage you to cheer yourself on because it's needed, because even if somebody else does cheer you on, like it's great, Bella, that you were able to hear, you were able to kind of talk yourself out of that spiral, that downward spiral after you made the musical. And But if someone else, like if you didn't believe that, somebody, anybody, everybody could tell you you're dope and you're not going to believe it because you don't believe it.
Yeah.
She could have told you herself, like, you were going to make it regardless because you're just fire. And if you don't believe it, you're not going to take that.
Period. No, that's so true. That is so true. Like if you don't believe it, then how do you even expect other people to believe it if you don't even believe it yourself?
Exactly.
And like I even tell people that I'm all about like vibrations. Like I'm a true believer, like the energy you vibrate on is like what comes into your energetic field. So
Yes.
it was a time I was like, man, like everybody around me is just so like critical and judgmental. And then I really had to be honest with myself. Like, are you critical and judgmental to yourself? Yes, very. So 9 times out of 10, if you're very critical of yourself and judgmental of yourself, that is how you're going to see the people in your outward energetic field. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're vibrating on. But and I've experimented with this as well at work. I've seen the days I don't meditate and I go into work. I don't want to be bothered. No one talks to me. But the days I meditate and I'm up and I'm just like listening to music, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to work. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Everybody's good morning. La, la. You know what I'm saying? It's literally a reflection of the energy you're embodying. So that's why they always talk about low vibrational stuff. And we're all human beings. We're all having this human experiences. So we're all going to have these emotions that come up. It's normal. You know, the key is to recognize it and to keep it at like a low level of it. So when it does come, you're able to recognize it and be like, okay, this came up. I feel it. And now it's going to pass. Yeah. The thing is, we hold on to it so hard as if like we have these attachment styles to criticism and to just negative thinking. I always tell girls, like, imagine if the energy you put into being so hard on yourself, imagine if you was all that energy into being like, I'm good. Like, you know what? I made a mistake. That's okay. That's cool. Right. Instead of beating yourself up about it, you know?
Yes. Yes, that's so key. Like, it's cool. It's really like, it's not the end of the world when you make a mistake. That's definitely something that I've had to learn myself, is making mistakes is not deadly. Like, I'll be okay. I hate, like, I'm sure you can relate because it sounds like you're fighting perfectionism too. But I hate when I make like a mistake with work, or like if I send an email and it's like I sent the wrong time zone, or like the link is wrong, or like I'm just like, oh, I hate that.
Yes.
But that's the easiest thing now for me to kind of catch myself for those little small mistakes, kind of catch myself and be like, but it's okay.
It's cool.
It's okay. Like, literally soothing yourself. It's like that inner child does come out in those moments, because that's the one that's throwing the tantrum. Like, oh man, like everybody can look at me like I'm crazy. Like that's your inner child having that tantrum.
Yeah.
And I've seen you speak on inner child a few times too. So can you touch on that a little bit? Like, what is that, that inner child relationship and that inner critic? Like, how do those things kind of come together and play out?
Oh yeah. So like when I look at my inner child, I look at the things that made me happy when I was a child, like going outside, playing outside, dancing because I just want to dance, not because I'm getting paid for it, not because money is attached, literally because it gives me freedom and makes me happy. So I feel like a lot of people growing up, they get out of touch with their inner child because of life and responsibilities, and I'm an adult now, I have to be serious and I can't have fun and I can't do fun stuff. And it's like, like your inner child literally is like the key to, like you said, like the inner harmony within yourself, because they're teaching you not to take life so seriously. Get back to the things that you enjoy doing. Like, for instance, I tell my sister all the time, because she's a Virgo and she's just always in her head, super organized. And I'm like, when was the last time like you like colored or took a dance class and She's like, I don't know. I like to just shop. And I'm like, okay, shopping is cool. But like, when was the last time you nurture your inner child? Like, there's some days, literally like Sundays, I would play video games. That's what I used to do all the time as a kid. Play video games, play Grand Theft Auto. That brings me joy, you know?
I love that.
And the thing is, the correlation between the inner critic and the inner child is when you're a child, like I said, there are just so many different things that we had experienced, whether it was rejection or abandonment. What else? Just feeling like you need validation from your parents. Because I know a lot of people, including me, felt like they had to work for their parents' attention or to just to be recognized for something that they did. So when you grow up in a household and you are this kid doing all these kid things, going outside, having fun, playing at the water park, doing all this stuff, but then you're not getting that emotional support from your caregivers or your parents, then you hear things repeatedly. You hear things like you're stupid, or that's not realistic, or I need you to do this, or I'm only giving you attention if you do something that I like, that I want you to do. The child is being programmed to believe, and that manifests in relationships too. It's like, oh, I'm only lovable if I'm doing something. I'm only valuable if I'm doing something for somebody, which is why we have so many people pleasers, or people feeling like they have to do stuff for everybody in order to feel loved, instead of just being yourself and connecting with yourself and feeling whole just from being. You don't have to do anything to be worthy, you know? So that inner critic manifests, and then people, when they get older, they forget what makes them happy. They're so critical of themselves and their businesses. And, you know, like I said, I'm guilty of this too. I have a business that I created that I planned on launching in January. It is September because I just keep finding things that I need. I'm like, I need to do a photo shoot. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I don't like the way that font looks. I got to reprint all the shirts over. Like, instead of just tapping into your inner child and doing something because you love to do it, and just putting it out there because you don't care about what other people think. You're doing it because you love it, and you experiment. Like, okay, well, if I am doing this for a business, let's experiment. I'm going to put it out there, see what I get back. If something doesn't work out, doesn't work out. So it's just a nonstop battle of just doing things because you love to do it, and not because it has to be perfect. It has to. It's a difference between standards and just it's being unreasonable. Like, literally, that's not reasonable. It's not reasonable to say you want to launch something or you want to create something, and then you just keep looking at it and you're just like, ugly, 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 ugly. Like, when are you gonna just do it? Because it's yours, you know?
Yeah. Man, so many good pieces that you said in there. The first thing that I'm thinking about is you mentioned like just having this like irritants towards yourself, or like this, like, because you're trying to please other people. Ultimately, when you are doing that first, there's like an opposite reaction from yourself, like that you get towards yourself, because you're trying to please other people. You're depriving yourself of that attention that you should be giving to yourself. And another piece from the article mentions the hated self. So the parts of yourself that you are not cool with, the parts of yourself that you don't like, you don't think are perfect, the parts of yourself, even if it's an extension of you, that you don't fully believe in yet. And letting that stop you. Letting the idea of something that you're working on not being perfect stop you from putting it out. But your idea of, first of all, perfection is not a thing. And then second of all, our idea of what perfection is supposed to look like, nobody else knows what that is. So, and I've learned that from one of my business coaches that I've worked with in the past. She said, like, we stop ourselves from putting out our work because we wanted to have this idea, the standard, this outrageous standard, like you mentioned, of perfection. But really, nobody else knows what that even is. Nobody knows
Right.
what that was supposed to look like. So if you put something out and you're like, this is good, I'm proud of it. It's not like perfect, but I'm proud of it. Somebody else may look at it and be like, damn, that's fire. Like, I need to be involved right now.
Yes.
And you don't ever know who you're depriving from the inspiration of what you're working on by not putting it out because you're prolonging, because you're afraid. And I'm speaking to myself too, because I'm doing the same thing with She Got Love. I'm trying to get it out there and launch it, but I keep finding little things, and like, I'll start working on stuff that has nothing to do with getting it out. I'm working on little minute things, like, but really, like, what I need to be working on is putting it out there and getting my face out there more. So from one recovering perfectionist and recovering people pleaser to another, we deserve to put our work out there, girl. And somebody out there is waiting for it. There's people waiting on you to put out your business.
And honestly, that's why I appreciate about you so much, because I see you put stuff out, like, you just continuously put stuff out. And I just be looking, it's inspiring, because it's like, I'm always hesitant to put stuff out, and I just be seeing everybody around me doing their thing, putting stuff out, like, consistently, no matter what. And it's like, it's yours. You know what I'm saying? I can tell with the energy around your business. I can tell it's yours, and you're doing it authentically. You're not doing it to get validation from people. You're doing it because you love the work and you're trying to reach certain people. And that is the key. I think all of us, we're trying to please everybody instead of just targeting to the people that we're trying to target to. Like, everybody's not going to get this. Everybody is for you. A lot of people aren't doing the work. So it's like, why am I trying to do all this work for everybody and everybody's not doing what this is for,
Exactly.
So
not everybody
I
is for you.
Appreciate that.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, because that's, like you said, when you're the person doing it, you don't really see, the impact, but to know that the work that I'm doing is being noticed. I appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, it's tough putting it out. And like, for me, it's like this idea of, I'm still not doing enough. I still have that in my mind. I'm still not doing enough. And I have to talk to myself and tell myself, like, no, you're doing it. It just takes time. It's a process.
Yes.
And then, like, you mentioned, not putting it out there for everybody, because not everybody is going to be able to connect with you. Not everybody is even at a place where they, like you said, are self-aware enough to have these conversations. There's probably people in our lives, family and friends, who, they wouldn't even understand this work, because they're like, what are you talking about? Like, self-love, what? Masturbation? Like, no, it's not just that. Like, what are you talking about? So, like, I just really appreciate that. And I definitely want to continue to encourage you to, whatever it is you're working on, put it out. Like, put it out, because we're waiting for it.
Thanks, sis. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I want to start wrapping up, and I want to put out our journal prompt for today, because I always put out a journal prompt that has some type of revelation with what we've just discussed. So this one is to acknowledge your efforts. So your self-esteem is not just about success. It also recognizes that sometimes our efforts, determination, dedication, and persistence are part of the process and great attributes to develop. Think of a recent challenge you were faced with and how you persisted despite the outcome. So this is going to help to kind of like build up that self-esteem for folks who are like afraid to go for something, or, they're feeling like that inner critic is stopping them. Taking a step back, instead of being because for me, I get lost in the sauce. I'll be like, this, that, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do that. But really, it's like, okay, but what can I do right now? What's the very first step that I could do right now? What can I do today? 3 things I can do today, rather than I need to get all this stuff done for the month, like, and then, and overwhelming yourself. And then, like, building up that courage, like, okay, I did these little things, and, thinking about stuff that you've done in the past, and building up that self-esteem for yourself. So folks watching, you already know, take a screenshot of this, and use this journal prompt for yourself. Take your time with it, because it's definitely going to help you to recognize some things within yourself and why you need to be a little more confident in yourself, because you're dope.
Yes.
You're dope.
You
So with that being
are.
said, my love, are there any other before I say that, what advice would you give yourself 5 years ago to help you overcome or face your inner critic? What advice would you have given yourself 5 years ago?
5 years ago, that means I was 23. I would say connect to my intuition and go get some Reiki done, girl.
Go get you some Reiki, girl. Girl, you need the energy cleansed.
Yes, I would definitely say connect to your intuition and like if I could go in time and just appear in front of her, be like, "Hey, it's me from the future. Look, your intuition is important. You have gifts. I need you to connect with that, do your research, find you a spiritual advisor, someone who can help guide you." But I would definitely say connect to your intuition because all the answers that we need is within us already.
They're already there. They're already there.
Yes.
I love that. And I think I would say something very similar. Connect to my intuition. And don't be afraid to be who you are and to
Ooh,
explore who you are.
yes.
You know, I'm still discovering. We will forever be discovering who we are, but don't be afraid. Don't be scared to put
Yes.
yourself out there. Don't be scared to be you, you know, because I feel like at that time I was a lot more like weary of who I wanted people to see me as. But now I'm more like kicking down the door of I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna be Chantel.
Same. Same. Same because I feel like I've always been this I'm definitely the what is it? I don't even want to say black sheep, but I'm definitely the one who recognizes certain things in my family, and I definitely have spiritual abilities that nobody in my family has. So I would definitely tell my younger self to embrace her gifts and don't, like I said, like you said, don't be afraid to be herself. Because I always used to think like I'm weird and I'm weird for having these gifts, and people gonna look at me like I'm crazy. Like you believe in that stuff, and it's like it's not that I believe in it. It's part of who I am.
Mhm.
So I definitely would say that too. Embrace all of you. You will attract your soul tribe at the end of the day.
You will. You will and you shall, my love. You will and you shall.
Yes.
Yes. So to end off, I just want to give, first of all, a huge thank you to you, Bella, for being a guest on Midday Chats. You were super awesome. This was a great conversation. I learned something, and I hope the folks learning or the folks watching learn something and take something from this conversation. Because being vulnerable, first of all, is not easy, but we do this on a daily. This is what we do.
Sure.
This is our job. This is what we do. So, you know, be encouraged by that. And it's okay for you to also be vulnerable, honeybees and dandelions. So just keep that in your head. So announcements. I want to again announce Self-Love Celebration is coming up this Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's free, boo. It's donation based. Yes. So anything that is donated goes directly to the Self-Love Celebration. But don't feel obligated. You can just pop up and show up for yourself. It's virtual, it's on Zoom. So I will be putting the link of that in the comment section here. But Bella, how can the folks reach you? And do you have anything coming up that you want to let us know about?
How can people reach me? You can go on my website, officialredbella.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Red Bella Ninja. And I think that's really it. I will suggest go to my website because that way you can look at my YouTube videos. They're very empowering. If you want to listen to my music, I'm a music artist. If you want to check out, see what my next dance class is. I do have a dance class coming up in October. I may have one before then. Who knows? I'm kind of one of those. If I feel like doing it, I'll do it, but I'm not pressured to do it.
Yeah.
But I do have a dance class October 22nd. It's going to be a chair dance class. It's going to be very sexy, very like we're definitely embodying our divine feminine and tapping into that. So stay tuned.
Yes, that's super dope. And is that virtual as well? Because you are located in Chicago.
Yes, you know what? Maybe that is something I can
You should do it.
do.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should do it.
See what I'm saying, y'all? She always coming through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you're in the Chicago area, definitely pop out in person, because I already know, Bella, I haven't physically been to one of your classes, but I always see them, and you look so encouraging. It looks like such a loving space. So definitely, if you're in Chicago, pop out to Bella's class on October 22nd, right?
Yes.
So yes, this was an amazing conversation. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. And until next time, we'll see y'all.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.